But since she cannot do anything, the creature is holding her and starts squeezing her, telling her that she has to be stupid to give her power to that piece of trash. And right before it kills her, Ein shows up, saving her, together with Ursula and Kurojime. At that moment, the protagonist notices how Yuri, in spite of the fear, did absolutely everything she could to protect her sister. Because of that, he now only asks them to get inside his eyes. Once they do so, Ken knows he has to finish off the creature, although when he uses his evaluate skill he realizes there is very little information about it, something that to Ursula seems like a concealment ability, yet it is advanced enough to fool a divine spiritual eye. It is also then that they begin the fight where the main guy defends himself using parry. Even so, Soid comes back and continues attacking Ein, so the latter uses a barrier. Still, Soid, using anti-spiritual arts, manages to destroy his defense. Even with that, our protagonist comes out almost unhurt. At the same time, Chid, somewhere else, comments that a barrier of such low rank has absolutely nothing to do against his arts, telling the appraiser in his mind that now he is going to die. Right then the creature asks Ein what is wrong with him and, calling him picked up trash, it asks him if that is all. Hearing that voice, the main character also recognizes him as Soit, something the monster confirms, telling him that a spirit blessed him and he evolved just like he did. On hearing those words, the protagonist gets distracted, and taking advantage of the situation the monster hits him and then with its claws tears a house to pieces. Even so, he manages to dodge and, using super acceleration, he avoids more blows, which confuses Ursula, who asks him why he is hesitating, since if they do not kill him he will kill them, and answers that even if he has that form he is still Soid. He dodges another attack, both of them standing on the rooftops, where the creature asks him why he does not take advantage of that power for himself like he did, showing him the corpse of the one who mocked him and of the one who betrayed him. There he tells the protagonist that he understands him because they are the same, throwing in his face that surely deep down he is wishing to take revenge for everything that was done to him. The prot denies it, but right behind him his own corpse appears, which asks him whether he has never thought about it, reminding him that everybody made fun of him because of his class, and together with Soy they start convincing him that they are the same, shouting that even if he is a little stronger he is still human trash. That is when Yuri silences him, shouting that it is not like that because since she knows him she knows he is very good and very strong. At that point the elf mother also steps in, admitting that he has become very strong. And she is not only talking about his abilities because his heart has grown too, asking him if he has not been using his power to help those who need it. Above all, she reminds him that he has not hurt the weak the way Soy did, because instead he told Yuri that he would make it up to her for everything she had done for him. In conclusion, she yells that she did not give him that bravery and kindness, but that it is something he already had inside. Even so, there his corpse tells him not to let himself be deceived, because it knows him far more than anyone. And to silence that voice Yuri comes in, telling him that if she is here today and has been able to see her family again, it is thanks to meeting him. With a smile she tells him that thanks to him she has also been able to change her destiny. All of this makes Ein burst into tears, and he asks them if he truly is stronger, something they obviously confirm. That is more than enough for him to know that both his corpse and Soy are very wrong, realizing that throughout his whole life he has been undervaluing himself. Yet in spite of everything, both Yuri and Ursula keep trusting him, so precisely because of that he wants to answer their trust. That is how, while he emits a great energy, he shouts that he will become the Ellen they have always believed in. On seeing all that magic power, Ursula comments that it seems he has finally become a guardian as he deserves, although yes, it surely took him a lot. She adds that now that he recognizes his own strength, he will be able to use 100% of the power of the spirits. And now he proves it, since he manages to foresee Soid's movements and with a single blow sends him flying. Walking slowly toward him, he looks at him with a disappointed face, which obviously annoys Soid, and he tries to hit him, but Einrene cannot be destroyed even with his anti-spiritual arts, thus showing the great power our protagonist now has. Ursula mentions that it seems his blessing was only 10%, and obviously now he is no match for the new Ein. Hearing this, Soy starts shouting at the spirit to give him more power, something that Chid does not obey. Even so, despite all that power, our protagonist takes his sword and apparently manages to destroy him. Yet now we see how the protagonist extends his hand to him, which annoys Soi a bit, asking him why he always tries to help him. Enkidu answers, asking him if he needs any reason to help someone. He adds that this does not matter even if he is weak. And if he himself was able to change, he knows that Soi will also be able to change, telling him that he could start by taking the hand he has in front of him. And so, in tears, he does so. Now we see how the adventurer has returned to being human. Even so, they still have to take him away, and there the protagonist thinks about which spirit it is that gave that power to Soi. That same night we see Echidna picking up the remains of the eye, and at that very moment she manages to rebuild it, feeling somewhat satisfied because she was able to gather combat information about Ain. Brend comments that their plan is starting well, although the only thing that did not go as expected is that Soi stayed alive. Even so, she sealed his demon memories, so it will be impossible for them to find out about this. Also, remembering Ain's last attack, she points out that putting Yuri's purifying power on his sword was quite smart, and as she is leaving she asks Mictora to wait, because she swears she will bring him back. Now on a new day we see our protagonist having a cup of tea when out of nowhere Yuri asks him for a favor, which is if he could give her a kiss. Obviously this makes Ain more than nervous, telling the elf that those jokes are not to be made. Yet Yuri yells that it is not a joke, because it is a ritual that is celebrated between spirits and their guardians. Then Ursula also appears, saying that as much as she hates the idea, they have no other choice, telling him that until now the Prat has been Yuri's guardian in training. For that reason the path that connects him to the elf is unstable, which has forced Yuri to carry the responsibility of preventing our protagonist from getting drunk on magic. Whether because he gets too little power or too much, something for which Ain himself, approaching the elf, apologizes for having been a burden, and she, a little blushed, asks him not to worry. But going back to the main topic, Ursula tells the protagonist that now that he awakened as a guardian, a true path opened between him and Yuri. Therefore they have to perform the ritual to strengthen that path. On hearing this, Ain thinks that if it is a forced kiss, maybe it is like when a knight swears loyalty. So he thinks about accepting, but then the other elves show up, who only ask him to forget about them and to give her a good big kiss. This makes the protagonist even more nervous, asking if they want him to do it with people watching. So Ursula asks Pina and Kurajime to give Einelsepta some space. Even so, her daughter asks Ursula if she does not mind that a stranger kisses her daughter, to which the elf mother answers that he is not a stranger, but still that it is only a kiss, and with a threatening look she makes it clear that if he does anything more she will kill him. So she leaves, and once they are alone the pair does not know how to start. But Yuri makes it more awkward by telling him that it will be her first time. So she hopes it will not hurt, showing him her lips. Seeing this, the protagonist does not know what to do, because he thought he was only going to kiss her hand. Even so, in spite of the nerves, he tries to fool himself saying that it is only a ritual and since it is necessary, he has no other choice. But when he was getting closer, the very clumsy guy slips and ends up giving her a kiss on the forehead, which was enough to level up. At the same time, Yuri, very excited, shouts that she is so happy she could go to heaven. In another panel we see a certain Baron Falco welcoming Echidna, asking her what brings her here, to which she answers that she brings a mandate from the Demon King, who orders her to kill this young man, showing him a hologram of the protagonist. Even if it is an order from his lord, the bird asks why he should deal with a pathetic ape. In response, China tells him that that ape was strong enough to defeat the Vegemot all by himself. That still does not impress Falco, since ancient dragons are only a little smarter than other monsters, adding that compared to them, demons are nothing more than mere insects. Then Chisna gets closer, highlighting his admirable confidence, and saying she loves strong people. That is exactly why she says the Demon King and she can only trust him. She says all of this while caressing him, which fascinates him. So Falco, very excited, takes the job, telling her that he will take care of it. On top of that, he will defeat him very easily. Once he says this, he uses the mandate to open a portal to the human world and goes at full speed using his Gale skill with which he can fly at great speed, adding that not even other demons of the nobility reach such quickness. And after a while he finally appears in front of the protagonist, to whom he introduces himself as the Baron of the 5 ranks of demon nobility, the great Falco of the Gale. Even so, Ainedo stops him, asking him to lower his voice because the others are sleeping. Faced with such insolence, the bird decides he will kill him right away, but at a speed much faster than his, the protagonist sends him flying with a slap. And that is not all, because getting closer to the bird, the protagonist asks him if he said he was a baron. Since, as he knows, it is the lowest rank of nobility, and using Helix Bullet he ends up finishing Falco. Obviously after this he uses his Evaluate skill, thus getting the Gale skill. But when he thinks about it, he wonders why he came, since he noticed he came to kill only him and not Yuri and the others. That is why he decides to wake up the other elves. On seeing the bird lying on the ground, Pina tells him that it seems he became stronger now that he is a real guardian. She even mentions that if he can fight without Ursula's help, maybe he is already stronger than her. Obviously the elf mother will not allow that, and putting him in a hold she shouts that she is much stronger. Once back at the castle they meet Claudia, who points out to the protagonist that it is strange to see him around the castle, to which he answers that he wanted to go to the Forbidden Library, telling us that that place contains books that only the royal family can access and that thanks to the silver clock the king gave him, he can now enter places where he could not before. And once in front of the library entrance Claudia apologizes, because according to the rules only those whom the king and the librarian say so can enter, and because of that she can only accompany him this far. The protagonist asks her not to worry and even thanks her, wondering now how he gets the librarian's permission, and Claudia answers that he will know when he crosses the door. So Ain touches the door, noticing how it opens, and when he decides to enter he realizes he has the permission. However, when he asks Yuri to come in, she runs into a barrier, which Ursula immediately also notices. She also adds that they cut the link between the ball and Yuri, saying that it seems that barrier rejects those who are not human. Seeing this, Ain knows they cannot lower their guard. Having no other option, he tells the elves that for the moment he will go alone. After a while he finally enters the library, and he also hears something falling, and seeing that it is a girl he saves her at the exact moment, asking her if she is all right, and the girl, getting up from his arms, thanks him while the protagonist notices that her ears are colored, with which he knows she blushed. Moving on, she introduces herself with the name A. In the same way the elf introduces herself with the name Alice, so Ain reminds her that he saw her falling, asking her what happened. She only answers that she was reading and suddenly she was falling. This leaves Ain speechless, wondering if reading absorbs her that much. Then the purple-haired girl sends a book to its place, because as the librarian she knows where all books go. That seems incredible to the protagonist, so right there out of nowhere he thanks her, and the girl asks him why. The main guy answers that it is because she gave him permission to come in. Alice asks him why he has come, and Ain tells her that he came to research secret dungeons. The purple-haired girl asks, "And what will you do after?" The protagonist, being honest, tells her he wants to help a person important to him meet her family again. So the librarian hands him a book in which he will find information about secret dungeons, something that makes Ain very happy, and he thanks her, taking the chance to read it right away. Yet the purple-haired girl asks him, "How is Yuri?" This surprises the protagonist, who asks her how she knows her name. The librarian tells him that she knows he has Yuri's spiritual core in his left eye, revealing that she knows it because she is also a spirit of the world tree, that is to say, one of Yuri's sisters. After that we see the protagonist coming back from a dungeon, and even though it was in the book Alice gave him, in the end it was not a secret dungeon, to which Yuri answers that she does not think her sister would have given him the wrong book by mistake, something Pina also confirms, pointing out